Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience. Hello, welcome back to Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience. Got some really big news for you today in regards to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. So obviously went to the Rabbitohs Roosters game last night. They had some speeches before the game in the Roy Simmons stands, but also where Chaps was doing his work up in the Chairman's Lounge. They were obviously talking to a few of the players. I got to watch Lockie Ilias, Sean Garlick. There was a few other younger blokes getting interviewed as well. But then we also, Chaps was up in the Chairman's Lounge. He interviewed Isaiah Tass and Shaq Mitchell. And it sounds like both of those guys are re-signing with the club going into next year. Obviously unsigned at the moment, but it sounds like those signings are very, very close to happening, and Chaps got the inside scoop when he was up in the Chairman's Lounge. We also got a bit of inside scoop as well in regards to John Bateman. Now, a few months ago, we put out a podcast saying that he was rumoured to be going to the South Sydney Rabbitohs after his little stint in Warrington, and then he re-signed with Warrington, and we're all scratching our heads going, is he just going to stay in the Super League now for the rest of his career? What's going on? The initial rumour was that he was going to follow Sam Burgess to South Sydney. Sam Burgess has obviously re-signed, I believe, as the Warrington coach as well, which sort of changed things a little bit. We thought that John Bateman was just going to stay in England for the rest of his career, stay with his daughter, who's currently living in England as well, and that would make sense. But it sounds like next year, John Bateman, I think if he did re-sign with Warrington, he is going to forego that deal and sign with the South Sydney Rabbitohs going into next season. So big news for South Sydney, big signing as well, obviously really gunning down on that back row depth with Ewan Aiken coming to the club as well. But to get John Bateman into this side, Josh Schuster's already there as well. We went from going from not having too many back rowers at all. A lot of our back rowers were transitioning into the middle of the field. So now we have a plethora of them. 3 new back rowers coming to the club potentially in 2025 in Ewan Aiken, Josh Schuster, and now John Bateman as well. It's a big signing. Very talented player when he's in a good system. I mean, we saw what happened at Canberra. He was one of the better back rowers in the competition at that point, if not the informed back rower in the competition when he was at Canberra. Obviously, going to the West Tigers didn't work out too well. Obviously a few dramas and a few whispers around that. His time at the Tigers, which obviously led to him leaving to go back to the Super League, to go back to England. But coming to South Sydney with the team that we're going to have next year, knock on wood, not too many injuries. You obviously got Campbell Graham coming back into this side as well. It is going to be a really strong outfit going into next season. Jai Arrow comes back into the forward pack for Tavita Totola as well. He comes back into the side. We're getting Lewis Dodd from the Super League, who has been tearing it up, up there. Obviously, in and out of first grade up there at the moment, but that is only because they want to work with these younger blokes that they've got there, and focus on going into next year with a strong side that's blooded. So he's been in and out of first grade up there, but it sounds like he's going to be playing first grade for us. Where does that leave Jack Whiten in the side as well? Obviously, does he play centre? Does he play back row? Regardless, we've got a really strong side going into 2025. We've got a lot of depth in a lot of positions. I think the only real position we need a little bit more depth is maybe in the front row, and then maybe as well a few outside backs, particularly fullback for me. I think is somewhere where we need a bit of depth. I know Tyron Munro can slot in there. Jai Gray's there as well, but I'd just like one out-and-out fullback to go in. Come into this side. I know that we've got Latrell, who for me is still a centre. You got Jai Gray, who's actually a half. He only came into fullback coming into first grade. And then obviously, as I said, Tyron Munro, but he's more of a winger as well. So just getting an out-and-out fullback into this side for a bit of depth would be nice. But regardless, I think we're looking very good going into next season. And look, getting John Bateman into this side, what he can do in a good football side as well. I'm just so excited to see how that works out. And if it does work out, which I'm sure it will, but it is only rumour at this stage. But look, from the talk from the Chairman's Lounge, and obviously speaking with Chaps from what he heard up in the Chairman's Lounge, it looks like all 3 of those things is done. Isaiah Tass, great signing, great depth in the outside backs. I think it was imperative really to re-sign him. Obviously a first grader last year. He is definitely a first grader, but Whether he fits into this side next year, I'm not too sure, but he is great depth to have if there's injury. It's been a shame that he's been injured this year because it would have been really nice to bring him in with Campbell Graham being out for the entirety of the year. In terms of Shaq Mitchell, I was really hoping and praying that this would go through. He is such a great player. I think that just for his size, the way that he moves and the way that he can move the ball around too, he's got a great passing game and offload. I think that he could be a 13 for sure, even just coming off the bench, being a bit of a ball-playing front rower, that's where the game is going at the moment with these middle forwards. Just having a little bit of ball playing. It's more and more common now that front rowers have a bit of a passing game on them. And I think that him being in this side, possessing that talent as well, I think it's imperative that we re-sign him. He is a great player. If you watched him in New South Wales Cup for a while, you'd know that he's got a lot of talent. Obviously looking to cut down a little bit of weight too, going into the off season. We was saying to Chaps the other day, and really get just strong. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he looks next year. I think that he's going to be one of the more improved players going into next year as well. The work rate of himself is just through the roof. He's got such a great work rate and mental. I cannot wait to see how he goes next year. And I'm looking forward to seeing if he does solidify a spot in the 17, which for me, I think he can. I really do think he can. Some great little scoop there from the footy last night. I cannot wait to see if all of these go through. John Bateman, Isaiah Tass and Shaq Mitchell look to be done. Tass is a 3-year deal. I'm not too sure about Shaq, but I know that Tass is reportedly a 3-year deal, which is great. Bateman, I don't know the length of that deal either. We've just got to wait and see if that's 100%. But as I said, from the talk from the Chairman's Lounge, it looks like all three of these things are going ahead. So South Sydney with some great signings going into next year when Wayne comes into the building as well. I just cannot wait to see us go on a massive improve, potentially become a top 8 side again going into 2025. That's full time. See you in the next one.